Okay, guys. Today mostly we will be dealing with the last class of AZ 900. So we have already covered the topics most probably. So today we will be going with the storage services, and then what are the deploying tools we will be using, and we will be dealing the identity access, and then we will be going to the what are the blueprint policies and resource logs. So I will go one by one. No need to worry. Let's say I will go to the paint. Here you can consider this is the home page of an application. Let's say anything Flipkart or anything. So generally what you will be having here is the Flipkart icon here, stating like here, sorry, yeah, here it will be like written as Flipkart, and then you will be having a long search window, so where you can search the products, and then you will be having a login button, and then you will be having a cart button, all those things. So here, and then you will be loading all the products info here. So here what I was trying to tell you is, so here let's consider a Flipkart logo. So the way from where the Flipkart logo might be coming, so you can just consider like it, the Flipkart logo might be stored somewhere, and as soon as you load your home page, this Flipkart logo will be appearing here along with the other web page. So where we can store this type of resources and everything, so those are the things we will be dealing with. So I just gave an example of this logo, but you can store the data, you can store the tables and everything. So we will be dealing with the storage services today. So I will go to the PPT here. Okay, so when we come to the storage account, so what okay, let me go to the pointer view. Okay, I'll go to the menu. Okay, coming to the Azure storage account, so we can these are the type of entities where we will be storing. So we will having a blob, we will be having a file, we will be having a table, and we will be having a queue. So consider, first I will explain the table, as many of them will be familiar with the SQL. So consider a SQL database. In the SQL database you will be having a tables, and in the tables you will be storing your data in the form of keys and rows. So this is a simple straightforward for a table. Coming to the files, so what are the files you will be storing in your D drive or C drive? Those type of files will be coming here. Coming to the queues, what is the queue is, we will be having a message brokering system like service bus, and we will be having a queues. So in these queues, whatever the messages that are coming, so let's just consider you are doing a one payment. Consider an IRCTC app. In the IRCTC app, if many people will be booking the tickets at once, so whoever completed the transaction for the first time, their ticket will be logged into the queue, and it will hit the IRCTC portal, and he will be allocated the ticket. So here I wanted to see is, here first in first out will get the ticket available here. So consider queue as a like a normal queue, in the normal common terminology. What is a queue? Just consider the queue like this itself. Coming to the blob is a very important concept you should be considered on. So blob, in the blob also, blob is nothing but a file like any photograph, audio file, video file, any log file, any file or any type of data that we are storing, that we will be considering as a blob. So blob plays a major role in the Azure storage accounts. So in the blobs also, so if I am storing, let's say I am storing my image in the Azure portal, so I will consider it as a blob. So in the blob there will be three types of blobs. One is page blob, blog blob, and append blob. So coming to the page blob, any type of text files or documents, all these blobs will come under page blobs. Coming to the blog blob, so any MP3, MP4 files, MP3 files, or video files, audio files, those all the files comes under blog blob. Coming to the append blob is used for the logging purpose. Logging in the sense, so consider a file. Let's say I'll open one notepad here. What is the type of logging is, so let's say you have a one application. Let's say first Banu has logged in, so it will print my name in the file like Banu. Then let's say after some time Vamsi has logged in, it will print like Vamsi has logged in here. It will store the data like that. So as soon as you store, I mean, as soon as it writes the data here, it will goes to the end of the text file, and the cursor will be there. So if any new person is coming and he is logging into the application, let's say Dilip comes here and he logs after some time, so it will store the Dilip name here. After sometimes Sai comes here, it will store like Sai here. So what is that? What is you should understand here is it will be storing for the logging purpose. So all the .log files will be stored in the append blobs. So these are the main types of the blobs. I will show you an example here. So consider I will navigate to the portal. So I will show you how a real scenario works actually. So I will go to one of the storage account. So this is the storage account. I'm directly in the portal here. So in the storage account, let's say here there are many storages. So I will create one storage account. Let's say here we will show you clearly all the in the upcoming things, but just on a high level view I'm showing here. So as you discussed yesterday, if I wanted to create anything, I will just say I'm creating a Banu resource group here. So one is already okay, one I have been creating. Then I will be giving a storage account like tech with us 1 2 3 something like this storage account, and I will host my storage account in the East US. Then it is a standard or premium we can say. And what is the GRS and ZRS, LRS? I will choose LRS. We will discuss all the things now. So if I show you once what are the things, then you can correlate with in the upcoming next 10 to 15 minutes what we'll be dealing with. So I will just review here. And then if I click on create, what happens is my storage account will be get created here. So once my storage account is created, I can store all the type of things like blobs or audios or videos, anything, any files I can store here. Let's say if I click on create, what happens is my storage account will be created in this resource group now. Okay, let's say it is taking some time. Meanwhile, we will go back to the PPT here. Okay. Okay, and what coming to the Azure storage accounts, so it is like a theory thing only. Azure storage is a Microsoft cloud storage solution for modern diagnostic storage scenarios. So diagnostic scenarios in the sense like blob storage, which we have discussed, disk storage, file systems, message storage for queues, reliable messages, and NoSQL store for tables. So and one important thing where we can note here is tables. In the tables, generally in SQL we need to store the structured data, but here we can store the unstructured data also, and these we will store in the form of key value pairs. So if you wanted to store any document, let's say I will store document with the help of Banu, and I will store like a document like banu.jpg, banu.doc. So we can store like that format also. If you wanted to store any images, if you wanted to store any data, so it is like a NoSQL data also we can store in the form of key value pairs. And coming to the blob storages, we can store the structured data, text or binary data. So and we can store document files, videos, audio files also. So video files and audio files will come under normal this blob, whereas append blob will become used for the logging purpose. So coming to the other storages, file storages, it will store like file shares which with industry standard protocols. And if you wanted to store any on-premises data and everything, we can use the disk storages. And if you wanted to store synchronize the messages between any applications, we can use the queue storages. So these are the different type of storages which we'll be using. And if I go back to my portal, my storage account is ready now. So here I have created a storage account with TechWithUs. So in this we will be having here, so as we discussed right now, so these are the tables, and these are the queues, these are the file shares, and these are the containers. So these are all the four entities we have discussed just now. So if we go into the containers, so we will be creating any container. Just if you wanted to store anything, a container is needed. So I will create here like TechWithUs container here. So just I'll create one container, and this container, so if you are new to the terminology, no need to worry. If you repeatedly go through this terminology, you will also be habituated. Okay, let's say now what I will do is here if you click on here upload, this is the blob. So if you what is the type of the blob you wanted to upload, you can just select a file here. Let's say, so any file, just I will not upload, just I will show you. So this is the file I have selected, and in the advanced settings I can select like here blob, page blob, and append blob. So page blob is nothing but what we have seen here in the PPT. This is the page blob which will be used for the document type purpose, and blob we can store the minute amount of data, and append blob used for the logging purpose. We can select this type of blobs here under which category you want to store your data. So and then the block size is how much MB we can store. We can store up to 100 MB here. And if you are having any folder, we can upload there. So just to show in the live environment, I have opened this page. Okay, we will continue forward. Okay, if you are having any questions, you can ask me before. Okay, someone is trying to join. Let me admit. Okay, so coming now, we will
Yeah,
discuss.
Banu.
Yes.
Do we upload the data into the containers or directly upload to the containers, or like in any format, like for page or text or anything like structured or unstructured data? Do we upload the data into the containers, or like do we process the data from the DevOps?
Ideally, how it will be happen is it will interact with directly from the UI. So UI in the sense, so if you are designing an application
Mm-hmm.
in that application, what if as a developer what you will do is, so I will show it here. Okay, so consider this is your screen. Okay, so in this
Yep.
screen, what you will be doing here, you will be giving a browse button here. Okay, I will give it.
On the UA of your, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
in the of application, I will give her browse button, and if I
Mm-hmm.
click on this browse button, what happens is my local computer will open there. I mean, what is the file I need to select? Okay, so after that, what I will do after selecting the required file, I will click on upload here. I will have one more functionality like upload. First,
Upload. Yeah.
if I click on browse button, it will open the this like this normal Windows Explorer where you can select your file here. Okay, yeah, just it will open here Windows Explorer. You can select the file. Once you selected the file, if you click on upload button, what happens is behind the upload button, the what you'll write the code is by clicking this upload button, directly upload my what is selected file into the blob. So it will just upload to your into the container. It will upload your blob. Blob is nothing but the file I'm referring here.
Okay.
Okay,
Got it.
yeah, okay. Any other question?
Yeah, Banu.
Yes, Manoj.
Manoj
Yes,
here.
Manoj.
Like in exactly where this storage containers will be coming.
Uh, so
Uh, so,
so when
so when
okay, once you are
okay,
done with the
once you
question,
are
can
done
you
with the
mute?
question, can you mute?
Because it
Yeah,
is
please.
Because it is
okay, where it will comes is, so depending upon the architecture in your project. Okay, so first while starting up the class, I explained like in my home page I wanted to log my Flipkart logo. So as soon as I hit my flipkart.com, my Flipkart page should load, and in that in the top left corner my Flipkart logo should come. So what I will do initially, I will store this logo as, I mean, I will store this logo as an image in my container, and I will refer directly the image from my container. So as soon as you hit your URL, it will directly refer the logo from your container and it will display on your web page. Okay, this is one
okay. This is
scenario
one scenario
I'm telling you.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, good. Like I'm coming with my query, like with my example. For
Okay,
example, I have
Okay.
taken, I have purchased one of the subscription. I created a one of the virtual machine, like with the help of like resource group, container groups. There I created a what already machine is there in that in that virtual machine. I completely installed or like and I completely did my things in that, like in my entire application is there, even web server is there, my application is there, it's already up and running good.
okay,
Okay.
It's almost like in virtual machine, it's just like an on-premises server, it's just same as like an on-premises server. I just have replicated the same thing on cloud.
okay,
Okay,
Okay.
good. Automatically it will take, or automatically it will load the data, or automatically it will try to create. Now say me like an explain me like an why there is a need to create a container for me in this case.
okay.
Okay.
So,
So,
okay, can you mute?
okay,
I'll
can
tell
you
you.
mute? I'll tell you.
Okay, so in this case, what we can do is, in your case, what you are trying to do is, you wanted to store your Flipkart logo in the server in the VM. Okay, so when you wanted to run the script, I mean, when you wanted to launch the application, how the application will be launched is on the top of the VM, it will be launched. So it needs to be always logging. It will always log the, I mean, always access the logo from the server side. So what happens is, you are running your application from a VM, so whenever you are loading your web page, it should load all the content from the VM only. Whereas if you directly upload into container, it is like a URL interaction. So it will directly cache that and it will store from the Azure side and it will display you. And moreover, it is like an URL based. Okay, I will show you one example. Uh, okay, anyhow, I will show you one example. It will be easy for you. Let us. I will consider. I will create one text file. Notepad. Okay. Hi. I'll use text with this. I will save this file. Okay, desktop and save text. So I close this. I'll browse the file from the desktop. I'll use tech here. So what I'll do is I'll upload this file. So I'll show you how fast and how feasible the Azure cloud will be. So I have uploaded my file here. So I think it will download over 10 now. So let's see. So I will copy this URL. I will open here. I'll paste here. I'll browse this. Okay, this is not specified. Let's say I think I'll generate SAS here. What is SAS? I'll tell you it. In the upcoming class I have that also. See, it is loaded immediately. Hi, tech with this. You can see how much speed it is. Whereas if you wanted to load it from a server, it will take more than more than this time. It is less than a second if you wanted to load this high tech with this, because I have created a file in my local, I have uploaded in the cloud, and through cloud I am accessing this. Okay, it is very fast and is very quick. So, and it is not only this data, there will be lot of interconnected data. If you wanted to load it from an on premises, from a VM where you hosted your application, the speed will be less, and then the interaction with the many users, if there is a more load on the data also, you cannot withstand that. Okay, so the speed main matters. In your layman language, I'm still telling it as a speed. Hope you got it.
Yeah, like a little bit confused. Normally, like see,
Okay.
let us consider about like in web-based applications which are running.
Okay.
We'll come to Flipkart only.
Hmm.
Okay. There normally will not be uploading any files. Like as a user, only he will be selecting one of the already existing data, and he will be navigating, and if possible, he will try to check out and he will try to place an order. Right.
Okay.
On background of this thing, already the server was already built. It means like in built is nothing but everything will be ready, or like in everything server is in ready place, virtual machines, and if any data loading is there or any new coming or any uploading is there, it tries to access through either a SAP application or some interconnected applications. There it will try to connect. Okay. Now, for already created servers or for already up and running applications, what is the necessary of storage container in order to utilize them on
So
cloud
you see,
premises?
storage container
Storage
is not
container
only
is
for
not only for
storing that,
storing that.
but you can
You can
access that. There
access
are
that.
many
There are many
terms and
terms and
I'll show you.
I'll show you.
So
So
when we have a
when
stereo,
we have a stereo,
you can mute
you
one of
can
them.
mute one of them.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. So when you go inside in the storage account, only not only this uploading and storing. So if you wanted to access this data, if you wanted to give this access only for a particular time period, so I have given only for till tomorrow. So if I wanted to give for more than 1 week or 1 day also, that granular control also you will be having over the data access. So apart from that, we will be having a, when you go into the live application, when you are dealing, you can find the main advantages. Instead of going to the VM and every time and hosting that, these storage accounts will be serving the more purpose there. So we have in this upcoming PPT also, when you see, I think by the end of this you can park your doubt. If you still have doubt, you can ask at the end of the session. Okay.
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 You can continue.
Okay. So, and there is an important topic like Azure Storage Tiers. So what is this other storage tier is? So whenever you are storing an application, whenever you're storing any data, okay, in your storing any data in the storage container, so we will be having a three options. Whether you are choosing the hot tier, cold tier, and archive tier. So what is the main difference and what is the main thing is? I will let you tell you an example. Okay. Sorry. So if I am storing any text file, so if I am going, there is one storage container. This is the container. Consider this as a storage container. If I wanted to store like main.txt file. So main.txt file, if I wanted to store here, based on how many days and based on the how much frequently you are accessing it, Azure will cost you. So first parameter is how how frequently you are accessing the data. How frequently you are accessing the data. This is the main parameter, accessing the data. The second parameter is how long you are storing the data. How long of storage? That's it. How long of storage in the sense, if you wanted to store this data for more than 90 days, let's say, or 10 days, or 30 days, or 90 days, or any, and so, and if you how frequently you are accessing. So daily, if you wanted to access the data, means daily you wanted to go and see the main.txt file, or if you wanted to daily load this main.txt file. So how frequently you are accessing the data based on these two parameters, that tiers will be deciding. There will be three types of tiers. One is hot tier, second one is cold tier, and third one is the archive tier. Archive tier. So what is the main difference in these tiers is, in the hot tier, transaction cost will be very less. So means how frequently you will access, that cost will be very less. Transaction cost is less here, whereas storage cost will be high. Storage cost will be high. So whereas for the cold tier, cost will be medium and the storage cost will be medium. And whereas coming to the archive tier, here storage cost is whereas very less, whereas transaction in the sense, I will tell you, transaction cost is very high, very high. So I'll give an example here. Let's consider a Flipkart page. So generally what the thing is, every day, every time, I mean within minute to minute, generally users will be hitting the Flipkart page. So you have stored your logo in one of the storage account. So if each and every minute all the users are hitting the Flipkart page, then for each and every minute the Flipkart logo should be launched, I mean should be displayed on the web page. So what happens is, there that interaction is happening very much. Okay. So here what happens is, transaction is happening very much, whereas storage is high, even though transaction cost should be very less in that case. Whereas consider one more page where you will be accessing less than a month. Let us consider any bank page. So I mean generally less frequently you will be accessing a bank page, might be it is a bad example. So at that time what happens is, your transaction cost is not at all required. So what happens is, on a 2 months or 3 months you might be opening that page. So at that time what you will be doing is, those type of requirements you will be storing under the archive tier, whereas very frequently accessed data will be stored in the hot tiers. So cold tier is based on the purpose. So let's say if you are rarely accessing a few data, and at that time you will be storing the your data in the cold tiers. So these are the three different types of tiers where you will be storing the data. So if you generally this type of requirement will be coming from your architecture people. So they will be suggesting under which tier the data should be stored, and based on that you should be creating the infrastructure accordingly. So as we are covering the AZ104 also, you should be knowing the admin related activities also. I mean where exactly you should be creating your or storing your storage accordingly. So I will be giving this example. See, the same thing I have given in this diagram. It shows, consider a hot tire here. For accessing a transaction you will be charged very less, whereas for storing the data you will be charged very high. Whereas coming to the archive tire, in the archive tire storage cost will be very less, Whereas for accessing or transacting the data, you will be charged very much. And one more important point is, let's say you have created one file and you have stored this file under archive tail. So you have placed this file under archive tail. No need to confuse or what is this archive and everything terminology. So as you are hearing for the first time, it will be like that only. As I am learning also, it is for the same for me, the confusion. So when you hear it or practice it for a couple of times, you will be getting very clear on this. So let's say what I have done is I have created one file. Let's say I have clicked my photo, and I have my photo I have uploaded in the storage account, and I have stored in the archive tier. So what happens is, once you store your data in the archive tier, if you wanted to retrieve the data in the sense, if you wanted to see the data, visible the data, it will take 15 hours. Why 15 hours is, here storage cost, it is very less, means it will store that data under the very premium, very low tiers in from the Azure side. When you wanted to retrieve the same data, it will take hours and hours to retrieve the data, whereas in the hot tier it is less than very milliseconds to access the data. So in the archive tier only we have this functionality. The main difference is, to retrieve the data it will take minimum to minimum 15 hours. So retrieval time in the sense accessing time, for archive tier it is almost close to 15 hours. So once you wanted to see your photograph that you are uploaded in archive tier, it will take almost 15 hours to get the process the data from there. Whereas in hot and cold tier, it will take milliseconds to get the data. So because the main purpose of hot tier is transaction should be very fast. So generally in the main business scenarios also, all the people will store their things under the hot tiers only, even though the cost is high. So if you can see here, okay, interruptions fine, okay, yeah, as we have discussed it, sorry, okay. For hot tier, high storage cost but low access cost. And one more thing is, if you wanted to store anything under cold tier, it should be stored for minimum of 30 days, then only it will be accepting. Whereas if you wanted to store under archive tier, the data should be stored for minimum of 180 days. So in live scenarios, where this comes under is, if you are developing an application, and if you are having a old database, but the database you should not delete that. You wanted to keep the database, but you wanted to keep the database at very minimal cost. So then what you will do is, then you will push the data, all the data under the archive tier. Then what happens is, your cost will be very much low, and if the data will no longer be required. If suppose if any person comes and asks that I wanted to access the data, then what you will tell, it will require minimum of 1 day to process the data. Then you will come to the Azure and you will place a request like I want the data. Then it will take 15 hours to retrieve the data, then only you can queue the data to the required person. So that is the tiers concept. Are we having any questions here?
Yes, a small repetition, noted out. When you want to move the data from hot tier to cold tier, at least like the data needs to be stored in at least like for 30 days. Then only it will be eligible for moving the data to cold tier.
Oh, what you can do is, you can directly store the same data into the hot tier and you can delete in the cold. So then you not to wait for 30 days.
Sorry, repeat it.
You can store the same data, as you will be having the data physically again. You can store, you can upload it in the hot tier and delete it from the cold tier. So that 30 days time period will be manageable for you. Okay, did I answer your question?
No, like I'm a little bit confused.
So what I'm saying is, you upload your data into the cold tier, and you have that your data in the on-premises also. Okay, so if you want, by mistakenly you have done that, okay, then what you can do is, you can directly upload in your hot tier and delete it from the cold tier. Or if you wanted to convert from cold to hot, then you need to wait for 30 days.
Yeah, my question is like converting from hot tier to cold tier.
Then you can.
The older data. It means like the data needs to be just piled up, and the cost should be less. Then it will be, the data should be there in hot tier for at least 30 days, correct?
Correct.
And the data if the data needs to be moved to archive, it needs to be in 180 days in hot tier, correct?
No. If you wanted to store data in archive tier, it should be 180 days. Okay.
For moving.
I think you need to re-explain.
For moving, right, Banu?
See, if you wanted to store any data in archive tier, it should be stored minimum for 180 days. Whereas in cold tier, it should be stored for 30 days. For hot tier, there is no restriction. You can upload the data and you can delete the data at the same time.
Good. Now you can explain a scenario like if you want to move data from cold tier to hot tier, you just you can go to cold tier and you can delete it and you can re-upload to the hot tier.
Yeah, you can do that. See, simply what you can do is you can go to the cold tier, you can download that and you can upload in hot. That you can save the time mainly, because 30 days means in business it will be lost, right?
Exactly. Then all the customers can follow this one, right? For example, they don't want to pay for a filter or
generally that scenarios will not come actually. See, initially while designing the architect itself, we will be suggesting like all the business will be choosing for hot only. When there is a specific needs only, they will go for cold tier. They will not generally prefer in the live scenarios. If you want it for testing only, we will do this. Okay.
Or at least we can storing of some migrated data.
Yeah, you can give a trial because see, this is a good scenario. You can try this one anyhow. From day after tomorrow, we will be telling how to get a subscription. So you can try this and you can do that. Okay.
Small doubt. The transaction speed is less in the transaction count or the transaction amount is less in cold tier and archive. Then normally the exact difference between cold and archive.
See, okay, I'll show you the example also. Consider for cold tier, it is less. Okay. Let's say hot tier. Just I'm giving a rough example. In hot tier, it is cost 100 rupees per month, whereas in cold tier, it will cost only 10 rupees, whereas in archive tier, it will cost 0.1 rupee. Okay, so this will be the difference. This level of difference. Okay, because here the data will be blocked for 180 days. Okay, whereas here the data will be blocked for 38 days. Here there is no limit. We can automatically do upload and delete and do anything here. The transactions here, but here the transaction speed will be very fast. Whereas in cold tier, we need to wait for some time to get the data. Whereas in hot tier, it will take minimum 15 hours to retrieve the data.
You're correct. But see, for hot tier, it depends upon the amount of data we store. I can agree with you. But the transaction will be very fast and it will be heavily counting. So it means how many number of transactions we make, that much number will be changing. And then this hot tier, cold tier, and archive tier, the amount of casting will not be static, right? So it will be changing every time.
See, it will be changing ideally, but what is the business scenario you are getting, and what is the request your architect is proposing? That is the thing you should consider. Okay, see, if architect is proposing to go with the hot tier, then see, ideally all the business scenarios will go in hot tier only, because I have worked in the project, so we have used hot tier only applications. So, and if I set the database as an example, that database also we will be storing in some other different concept. Okay, in cold and arcade will be used for rare purpose, and where we will be using this is for logging. We will be having the logs, right? So what is the logging is happening in the append blobs? Those append blobs will be moving to the arcade, and it will automatically delete after some. We will be setting like retention policy of, let's say, 1 year. After 1 year, all the arcades will be deleted. So if there is a really business scenario like I wanted to have the data, then only we'll go with this retrieval process. Generally, in my experience, we did not have this retrieval process in our live projects.
Okay. Yes. Not to argue, but a small query.
Yeah.
For example, one login is there. Flipkart page is there. Users come and append block. We have created an append block. The append block, as you mentioned, the logs will be creating. Whoever customers logins, it will try to create the data as you said, it will be trying to create that append login archive folder. Good.
Generally, we
Basically,
will not propose this. We will go with hot only there, because see,
okay.
if you wanted to have an interaction, suppose one user has logged in, then if the next user wanted to, if the next user is a login, his data also should be present in the file, right? Then it should write the data. For writing the data is nothing but you are
The
adding one
transaction.
more transaction. If you are
Yes,
adding one more transaction, then you will be preferring with the hot air only, right? See,
exactly.
when you will go with
That's my
Azure
query.
is, once your blobs are ready, and if you wanted to store for the from other purpose as like backup, then you will convert those blobs into archive things.
Okay, good. Now, complete, almost like in pitch. I got a picture.
Okay.
Like in already settled data, the data which is not going to be changed frequently or like in nothing.
Yes.
So already some you can consider it like a legacy. For example, I have in some legacy systems. After legacy system, I will move to the new updated system, and those legacy systems I'm not going to use anymore. But the thing is, like in any such scenarios where the necessity need comes, like if it just a query, if it comes, then I should be ready with the data. So that's why I'm keeping those type of data in this type of two types, called as an either cold tier or archive tier. Am I correct?
Yes. Yes.
Good. And 10 30 days or
Sorry.
10 30 days and 180 days. Like uh, there's
I
a time
can't
period,
sure,
right?
because see, Manoj, if you are having those questions, we'll take it then.
Okay, okay,
Okay,
fine, cool.
because
Then
we
good.
have only 1 hour time, right? I need to
Yeah,
cover
yeah. No, no.
four concepts
I
here.
thought I thought like an even along with me, some other guys did not understood, so that's why I
Okay, okay, you
continued.
can continue.
So that's fine, fine, no issues. You can go on. I'll talk with him separate.
No, no, not an issue. See, though if there are common nodes, it is okay. If you are going on the same node much, then it will be going other flow, right? That is why.
Yeah, we'll take with the all guys. Like in remember this, like if you're able to understand, we'll go with the next concepts. If not, you can raise a hand or like we can continue the things.
No, if you are having any query, you can ask.
Okay, okay, fine, no issues. Yeah, cold storage and this archive storage as well, right? Archive tile, 10 to 30 days. It means like in this particular tile, the data will be stored for only 10 to 30 days, or like in how?
It is not 10 to 30 days. I'm said like 10 rupees. I have said, right? It is a normal thing. It is like 30 days. Okay. I
No,
can
not
send
that
this
one.
document to you. You can go through this
No,
document.
not that one. But previously you said
Sorry.
Manoj, I can clear your doubt. What you're saying is that whenever you store your data in the cold tire, we need to place the data for 30 days. We can't take it out from the cold tire.
exactly
Yeah, that's within the archival tire, we need to place the data for 180 days.
180 days,
Yeah,
and
that's all.
we cannot take out or we cannot
We cannot take
even.
out the data from that archival tire till for that 180 days. After that, we
Correct.
can remove. Yeah, that's all. But mostly in the real time scenario, we'll use only hot tire. So yeah,
Good, good, clear.
but yeah, these are the things Microsoft provide. Just we want to know. That's all.
So I will give the
Okay,
configuration manage. You can go through it. Okay.
good. Thank you very much.
Dilip, storage cost and transaction cost are different. Okay, I can see here. See, storage cost is for storing the data. Transaction is for how many times you are interacting with the same data. Okay, that I will hope you are clear there. So we'll go forward. Actually, it's 7:44. Okay. So, and coming to the redundancy options, first we will be knowing the common terminology like what is geography and what is Azure region and what is the regional pair and availability zone. So consider an India. Okay, let me go to the PPT here. So how you will be storing the data is first you should be knowing this terminology. So what is a geography? Geography is nothing but the total world you can consider. Okay, just in a layman language I'm telling. This is a total world here. You can consider it as a geography. And coming to the Azure regions. So Azure regions in the sense here, let's say east. Okay, I will consider it as an geography. And coming to the Azure regions, let's say East US is one region and West US is another region. Are consider Central India and South India. So I will write it as here Central India. So it is one of the region, and South India as one of the region. So how this is done is Azure people has differentiated all these things like our globe is like a geography, and South India is in one region and Central India is a one more region. And coming to the region pairs, so region pair is nothing but each and see one Azure region will be automatically paired with another region, so that if any natural calamities are occurred and everything, so these two pairs will be in sync. So these two regions will be in sync. So that is why they termed it as a region pair. So South India, if, I mean, just giving an example, South India is one region and Central India is one region. These two are in pair. So if there are any data replication should be happening, this happens between these two regions. Coming to the availability zone, so what is an availability zone is, so consider South India. In South India we will be having a three consider as it three zones. So one is like Hyderabad zone. In South India I will be telling all these examples. Consider it as an availability zone as Hyderabad availability zone, and consider it as a Chennai availability zone, and here I will be considering it as a Pune, just I consider or Bangalore, you can take Bangalore availability zone. So in each and every zone we will be having a one or more data centers. So data centers are nothing but where we'll be storing the data. Here one data center, let's say here you have, so let's say you have in each and everything might having one or more multiple data centers. Let's say in each and every zone I will be having a two data centers. So here letting it has a DC here data center. So in Bangalore also we will be having a data center. So why we are explaining all these things is, so you will be having a replication strategies and how you are securing your data if there is any data loss or anything. So this is where how Azure will be storing. So first, if you wanted to store any data, you will generally you will be storing the data centers only. So in which data center you will be storing, and in which availability zone you are storing, in which region you are storing, and in which geography you are storing. All this comes under based on our type of strategy we are choosing while selecting storing the data. So if you can see, when I am creating my storage account, there are three many different options like LRS, GRS, ZRS. Those are the things. So what are all the things is, while creating your storage accounts, it will be saying like what is the, okay, I'll show. Yeah, while creating your storage account, it will tell like what is the type of storage account you want to create. So this is nothing but redundancy. What is the type of redundancy you want? Whether you want it like local redundant storage or geo redundant storage, or read RAGRS, ZRS, GZRS, and RAGZRS. So I will explain all the things here. And one more thing, hope you are clear on geography, Azure region, and till here. And one more thing is recovery point objective and recovery time objective. So when this comes under is, so if there is any natural calamities occurred or any disaster has occurred, so how fast you will be getting the data, that will comes under a recovery time objective. I mean, how much time it will be taking your data to get the system back online after any critical failure. So whereas recovery point objective is, let's say here now time is 7:50. Okay. Okay, let's see, I'll put it here. Now time is, let's say, 7:50. Now I am updating one anything in my database. So let's say I have updated here one entity here. Updated one entity. So and one more thing is, okay. And updated by entity, and it is updating in one of the South India. It is updating my data. So what happens is, at almost 7:51 there is a disaster occurred. So after 7:51 disaster occurred in South India. Let's say in Hyderabad something happened and my data center got collapsed. So what happens is, whatever the thing I have updated in 7:50, I should get the data in any other location. Let's say at 7:52, if what happens is South India data center has collapsed, but my region pair, what happens is South India is tightly coupled with the Central India. So once I updated my data in South India, it will automatically get replicated in the Central India. So at 752, if I browse the data what I have uploaded, I should be able to visible. So here what happens is at 750 I have updated my entity in South India. It will automatically sync to Central India, and as soon as at 751 if my data center got collapsed, at 752 if I am able to get data, then you can tell like then suppose if even though my data center got collapsed in 1751, if I am not able to get my data at 1752, then it is not a good thing actually. So let us consider I have updated one more thing at 749. 749 I have updated one entity. So at whatever the thing I am getting at 740, whatever the thing I have updated at 749, if I am updating that, if I am getting the data at 1752, let's say, then what we can consider is I have updated my data at 749 in South India. It replicated to Central India, and at 1752, if I am able to retrieve the data from Central India, then it is fine. But what is the thing happening is here I am getting a variation of 2 minutes data loss. So these then we can term the data loss as 2 minutes. So this is nothing but RPO, recovery point objective. So here you will be measuring in terms of time frame for the recovery point objective. So what you should understand is when they are telling in your project what is your RPO, then you will be telling in minutes. So my RPO is 2 minutes. So then what you should understand from the 2 minutes is whenever there is any catastrophic failure occurred, so the last 2 minutes data might not be recovered. So that is an acceptable from the business side. So the RTO and RPO is measured in terms of the minutes, whereas RTO is if the complete system is down, how fast you can deploy from the start, how fast you can build your infrastructure from the start and deploy all the things. So these two terms are termed as RTO and RPO. And moving further, yeah, now we will be moving to the interesting topic of this LRS. What is the LRS, GRS, ZRS, and everything. So first consider the LRS. LRS is nothing but local redundant storage. So mainly during the interviews, you will be asked for these questions only. What is LRS and what is a ZRS and what is the main difference between those two things? So if you consider an LRS, let's say if you are uploading your photo, so while you are uploading your photo based on your storage account that you have created, if you are created a storage account like with the strategy of LRS, then what happens is in your data center, in the same data center, your copy will be uploaded like 3 times. So it will be replicated 3 times. So what happens is it will be placed in 3 different places in the same data center. So if suppose, okay, I will show you how exactly data center will be look like. Okay. So in data center also, how it will be, data will be stored is in the forms of racks. So let's say I'm drawing here roughly 2 racks. Okay. So let us consider this is like a one front view of the data center. So here data will be stored like this is called the fault domains. So these are the fault domains, and these are also update domains. So the horizontal one are the update domains. Update domains. I'll do one more thing. I will create one more here. One more here. Okay. So here update domains. There are 4 update domains totally I have created here. So 4 update domains I have created, and I have created here 4 fault domains. So 4 fault domains. Okay. If we are uploading any photo, this consider this is a data center. If you are uploading any photo, so how it will be storing is it will store one copy in here fault domain here, and it might be storing here, and it might be storing here. So what happens is all the fault domains will be connected to different cables. So this fault domain will be connected to one power. This fault domain will be connected to one power. This connected to one power. Then this fault domain will be connected to one more power. Like one more generator you can assume. So what happens is here, okay, I will write it as a generator also here, then it will be easy for you. Let us consider it is connected to one generator here. The same way it is connected to 4 other generators here. And in the update domains, what happens is if there is any update happening on this file or file, so what happens is first it will update this entity, and then if once this update is done, it will update this one, and if the other thing update, if the two updates are done, it will go to the other thing. So what is the main thing you should understand is, if suppose in data center, okay, I will go here, okay. So if in that, suppose if any data center, this generator got collapsed, means this generator went down by any other means, what happens is this fault domain will be completely shut down. So this photocopy will not be available. Then what your application will do is, it will automatically point you to this photocopy, and then you can view your photo. So by any means, if there is any update is happening on this, so what happens is this will not be available. So you are left only with this one, and this photocopy will be shown to you in the UI. So what is the main thing you should understand is, how is the replication strategy that Azure is following here. So this is the main thing you should understand on all domains, update domains. But we have a clear I mean, in the upcoming AZ 104, we will be we'll be explaining in more clear on this update and fault domains. So going forward, yeah. Coming to the LRS, local redundant storage, in your data center, it will be replicated 3 times. How it will replicate, I have shown you now. It will store in multiple tracks in based on the update and fault domains. Because if any failure is happening on one thing, the remaining 2 copies will be available. Suppose if any update is happening on first copy, the remaining 2 copies will be available. So that is why they are organizing the things in the data center in that way. So coming to the you can see, like, it can only sustain node failure within the storage cluster. Node failure in the sense, okay, here this is called one node, and you see each and everything is called one node here. Totally we have here 16 nodes. So if there is any node failure, it can sustain within the storage cluster. So this is the LRS. Coming to the zone redundant storage, zone is nothing but, here in the already we have explained, yeah. So here this is a zone completely, yeah. So okay, in a region, there will be having a three zones, availability zones. If you are uploading a copy, if you have chosen LRS while creating a storage account, it will store in this concept. Whereas if you are creating a storage account with zone redundant storage strategy, how, when you upload a single photo, how it will happens is, okay, I will explain here, okay. If you are uploading a photo now, what happens is your photo will be stored in 3 places. Like in Hyderabad, the availability zone it will store, in Chennai availability zone, and in Bangalore availability zone also it will store. So what happens is, if let's say due to any calamities or tsunamis or something, let's say Hyderabad is down, then what happens is, your photo will be visible from Chennai and Bangalore. Let's say if due to any other means, if Bangalore is also down, your data will be coming from Chennai zone. So the same thing they will be explaining. So when you are uploading a copy, one copy will be stored in one availability zone data center, second copy will be stored in other availability zone data center, and third copy will be stored in third availability zone data center. Let's say if any other means one availability zone is down, it will be getting the data from the other thing. If this one is also down, it will be getting the data from the other thing. So zone redundant storage will sustain node failure within the storage cluster or entire data center or availability zone during going down. So it will sustain the two things. Yes,
Okay, like I have a doubt, Banu.
yes, ma'am.
Yeah, like disaster recovery, we can like we are deploying the same into the DR also, right?
Yeah. During the disaster recovery, we will test all these things. So what we
Yeah.
will
So
yeah, continue.
yeah. So for the live for production, we can say that live deployments, right?
Uh,
So as the same, we can deploy the same into the DR also into all these regions. We can say we have 3 regions
okay,
in ZRS. When compared to LRS, it's having only one region. We can save 3 copies of 3 storage of a copy.
correct,
And when comes to ZRS, so we do have 3 zones.
correct. Vinay, I lost your voice. Is anyone able to hear Vinay?
No one.
Vinay, we lost you actually.
Can you hear me,
Yeah,
guys?
now we can hear you.
Yeah, yeah. So the data will be stored into three regions, right? Into like once we deploy it into the like the data into once we deploy the data into the production,
Okay.
so it will directly replicate to these three locations, right?
Yes. See, first here while deploying and those all things will not come under matter. So while creating the storage account, itself, you need to select the strategy. Which strategy you are going with, whether it is
Yeah.
LRS, ZRS, and everything. So based on that, the storage account, this replication will automatically happen from the Azure side.
Okay.
Okay, we need not to
Okay.
take care.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, next. Coming to the other thing. Guys, actually it is 8 o'clock. If it is fine, if we extend for 10 more minutes.
Yes,
Okay,
not
is
sure
it
about
fine
the
for
other
other guys also? You can just confirm or you can text in the chat. We are okay.
Yeah, in the meantime, one small query.
Yes, ma'am.
LRS will be creating a three copies, right, in the same zone.
Same data center.
Yeah, yeah, same data center. So yeah. Whereas like in JDRS will be doesn't create a same three copies in a same data center, or like only does it create
No, no,
three copies?
it will create one copy in one data center. Like that, it will create in three separate zones. One copy only.
Okay, whatever the
See, here also it is creating three copies. LRS. In ZRS also it is creating three copies only. But the thing
yeah.
is where it is creating. In LRS it is creating in the same data center. Whereas
Mm.
in ZRS it is creating in three availability zone each and every copy. Okay.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Thanks.
Next. Coming to the okay, what I'll do one thing is I thought to cover many topics, but so we will cover this zone replication today, and then we will plan the next thing. Okay, coming to the GRS. uh, GRS is nothing but geo redundant storage. Geo redundant storage in the sense it will store three copies in primary region. Let's say here. Okay, I will go to the my paint here. Okay, so till now we are confined only to the South India region. Now, if we are concentrating on geo, so okay, okay. When we consider the geo redundant storage, it will happen at the geography level. So what happens is it will store the data in the two regions. One is let's say here we assumed it as Central India, and here we assumed it as South India. So it will store the data in the two locations. So similarly, it will explain like this. In the primary region, I am having one data center. In the secondary region, I am having one more data center. So what happens is it will first upload the three copies in the primary data center. It with the help of geo replication strategy, the same thing will be copied into the second region of the other data center. So what is happening is total 6 copies we are having. Whereas in the other slide which we have shown, LRS and ZRS is having only three copies. Whereas here we will be having 6 copies. If there is any failure in the primary region, then what happens is your secondary region will be coming up. Means suppose total South India is down completely. If the suppose there is any network restriction is done, what happens is your central India will come and your copies will be available. So it is based on that, and it will you need to pay the charge also the same way. For LRS you will be charged less, for GRS you will be charged somewhat high, and you will be charged bit more for GRS. Coming to the geo zone redundant storage, so GZRS. So here what happens is you are storing, I mean you are trying to store the data at geography level and zone level also. So what happens is in the primary region it will try to store the data as GRS strategy. Like in one availability zone it will store one copy, the second availability zone it will store one more copy, and third availability zone you will store one more copy. So these all the three copies you will be store it as LRS in the secondary region. So what happens is if your if suppose your one data center is down, it will try to access the data from the availability zone one. If your availability zone other one is also down, it will try to access from the availability zone two. If completely this region itself is down, it will try to access from the secondary region. So this is a bit more costly than the other thing. So this is how we have categorized it, like this GRS, ZRS and LRS. And one more thing is RAGZRS is nothing but you will be having the read access storage in the second region. So this is the geo replication strategy. Let me see if I can cover the other things also. Data blob, data migration. Okay, let us cover this also. So as you see, we have already discussed this, there are other storage services like Azure blobs, files. Okay, there are blobs, files, queues, and disks. So these are the nothing but how we are storing the data. And what are the benefits of this is it is like there are highly durable and highly available. So durable and highly available in the sense if there are any failures also you can get back the data. How you will get back data is based on the type of redundancy you have chosen like LRS, GRS, GZRS, those strategies. And secure, so secure in the sense the how you are securing the data. For securing the data we have a concept of SAS tokens, so that we will be covering in the AZ104 module how it is exactly. And coming to the scalable, so we have the scalable concept also. We can increase the tier of the storage account, we can decrease the tier. So these all the things will come under the AZ104 if you are practically working on all the things. So and how you are managing that and how you are accessing the data. So we can access the all the storage using the REST APIs. So I have already shown like how the REST API is looking like. So because I have already accessed it, so here I am accessing my blob. This is nothing but a REST API that I am calling for. So you can see like this is my storage account tech with as 123 and it is like a blob, and this is the URL is coded Windows is a common one. And in the next thing you are having the container, and the other thing is SP is start time and end. SP is what is the type of permission you are giving for this. It is like a read permission we are having, and what is the start time and what is the end time of this. So in the complete URL I will be breakdown and I will showing in the AZ104 module. So coming to the other thing, yeah, in the blob storages, what we'll be storing, and like video files and audio files, like in the blobs also we have separate categories, and how you will be accessing the blobs, the REST APIs. We can access the blobs through the PowerShell, through the CLI, and through the Azure Storage Client Library. So Azure Storage Client Library is nothing but through the code. If you wanted to access, you need to have this library downloaded from the .NET. So in the .NET code, generally, if you wanted to access anything, there will be like libraries. So you need to import this storage client library, then you will be accessing this. If you are not aware of the code also, no need to worry, you can ignore this one. And coming to the Azure files. So if you wanted to store any of the files, like it is like a cloud storage, how we are storing, and you can access you can store the files like a disk shares, and you can access like the Windows, Linux or Mac OS clients and anything. And coming to the queue storage, so queues are nothing but you're storing the large number of messages. So as I said, like if the first in first out system will be following, like whenever the message coming into the queue, it will only should go in from out of the queue. If there are any message stuck into the queue, it will go to the dead letter count. So these are all the some different concept we will be covering also. And each and every individual message should be can be up to only 64 KB of size. So whatever the message that is coming into the queue, it should be only 64 size, and it should be limiting there. And one more thing is that data migration options. So this is a very important concept. Let me explain that in the time. I'll take only 5 minutes, guys. Okay. So let's say you are having one application in the on-premises. So and it contains a data, so much large amount of data. And if you wanted to choose, you wanted to migrate to any, you wanted to move to any other cloud application. Because many of the people nowadays are following this strategy, like moving from on-premises to cloud. So migrating your code is nothing but you will be hosting your repository, and it is a simple thing only. But data migration is very important. So how you will be migrating data is there are many options. So first I will tell you the code perspective. Okay. So this is we are talking about migration strategy. Okay. So migration strategy, how we are doing. First, when you consider an application, what you will be having that apps. Apps is nothing but the code which we have written. Second thing is any security measures what we are taking. So on premises might be you will following the on premises security, whereas in cloud Azure will be providing that cloud security methods also. Third thing is very important thing is data. So how you are moving the data to the on premises is matters. In the data also you will be having that users, identities, and you will be having the SQL servers, let's say SQL server data, and you will be having okay, let's say the limit from here. So users and identities, how you can migrate it in Azure, we have an Azure AD. So just what you can go is in Azure Active Directory. Azure Active Directory is nothing but repository of all the users, and we can manage all the permissions from there. So in the Azure Active Directory you can onboard all your users here. So what happens is your users are done. And coming to the identities is nothing but replication of the app permissions. So here also we have in Azure AD we can create like app registrations here, app registrations. So if you are not familiar with this terminology also, just listen now, then in the upcoming classes you can see like, okay, at least I have listened this terminology there. So coming to the SQL server, here comes the data migration things for this PPT. Yeah. So we have many integrated tools how we need to migrate. Let's say I wanted to migrate a SQL server data. So what I will do is in the on-premises I will log into the VM first here. I will log into one of the on-premises VM or server, let's say. So I will install my Azure Migrate tool. I have one tool like Azure Migrate where Azure has given this tool to me. So I will install my Azure Migrate there. Once I install my Azure Migrate, it will automatically check, and what it will check is it will discover an assessment. What it will assessment whether my on-premises server are suitable for migrating to the Azure things, and it will give the server's migration tips and how we need to start it everything, and we will be having the data migration assistant. You see here data migration is standalone to access the SQL Server tools. So SQL Server tools, how it will happen is it will automatically zip and everything, it will migrate everything. And coming to the database migration service, so these are all the things that Azure will be providing while doing that. And let's say suppose if there is a physical data, I mean physical data in the sense hard disk or everything, there is a concept of Azure data box. Azure data box is used to move large amounts of offline data to Azure. So it is nothing but once you choose this option, they will give a physical data box to you. So what happens is you should carry all your hard drives and everything that are there with you into the data box, and you should transport them to the Azure data center. So in the Azure data center, they will migrate automatically all the your hard drives and everything. So and the usable storage is 80 terabytes of data. They can each box will be having the capacity. And Azure file, these are also related to the data, whereas Azure file movement options. So if you wanted to move any of the files, there are tools like Azure Copy, Azure Storage Explorer, and Azure File Sync. Let's say I will show you Azure Storage Explorer how it looks like. So I have installed Azure Storage Explorer for my office purpose. So it is turning on. So Azure, meanwhile I'll explain these things like Azure Copy and what are the things. Azure Copy is nothing but an command line tool. So where you can copy all your blobs and files from your storage account so to multiple storage accounts, and you can do from back and forth. Whereas coming to the Azure Storage Explorer, so Azure Storage Explorer you can copy over the subscription levels, and you can download or upload your blobs directly there. So here it is used for copy purpose, and in Storage Explorer you can directly upload your blobs or download your blobs and them multiple times. So generally from the portal you can upload one blob at a time, whereas you can, if you wanted to do on a bulk basis, you can use the Azure Storage Explorer. Let me see whether my Storage Explorer has run. Okay, it is running. Whereas coming to the Azure File Sync, it is like a centralized place where you can access all your file shares and everything. So Azure File Sync is used to access your file shares and keep all the files for flexibility and performance and compiled by the Windows file servers there. So I think, yeah. So let me store the Storage Explorer once so that you have an idea how it is. Okay, meanwhile you are having any questions on these topics? Okay, let me summarize today class as yesterday Manoj gave section. So first what we have discussed is how a storage account will be looking, and what are the type of storages we can store here, like blobs, files, tables, and queues. So from there we can see, we have discussed on the what is the types advantage of the storage accounts, and we have discussed on the tires: hot tire, cold tire, and arcade tire. And in which tire, so let's say in hot tire the transaction cost will be less, whereas storage cost will be high, vice versa for the archive tire. And coming to the storage services, we have discussed on the common terminology, so like geography, what is the region pair, availability zone, and all the things, and RTO and RPO things. And we have discussed on the redundancy options that cloud is providing for us, like LRS, ZRS, and what is a GRS and GZRS. And coming to the storage, okay, we have missed this slide, I think. Okay, coming to the storage account endpoints, okay, already we have discussed this. So in the blob storage, it is a nomenclature how we are representing, like HTTPS storage account name dot blob. If it is ending with dot blob, it is like a blob storage. If we going for the DFS, like data lake storage, and if it is a file, it will end with file, and if it is a queue, it is coming with QS. Similarly for table, it will come like table.code.windows.net. And coming further, we have discussed on the what is the services and what are the benefits of it. Because in the AZ104, while you are doing practically, you can know all these benefits. Okay, what we have discussed now might be now it is like a theory only, but in the upcoming classes, okay, it will be helpful, like what are the advantages that we have taken. And coming to the blob storages, how we'll be accessing, how we can have access over the REST APIs and using the PowerShells, and what are the Azure files, queue storages, and what are the different data migration options, and what is the Azure data box, and if coming to the Azure data box, how we can take and how we can place all our hard drives into it and send it to the Azure team, and what are the different file movement options like copy, storage explorer, and file sync. Okay, let me see. Okay, here I got it now. So this is the Azure Storage Explorer. So if you can see, these are all my subscriptions here. So dev, prod, test, and everything. If I expand my dev, actually I don't have access for this because I was moved to other project. So it will show all the containers and all the blobs here. Similarly, if I wanted to move all my blobs to the other account, let's say here it is showing the storage accounts. So if I wanted to move a blobs from one subscription to other subscription, simply I can drag and drop here. So if I do a drag and drop operation, it will copy all the blobs. Whereas in the UI portal, you need to copy explicitly. Then only it will copy all the blobs. So this is a storage explorer. It is just a tool. Similarly, you will having a Azure AZ copy also, Azure file sync also. So these are the different storage services. If you are having any questions, you can ask me. I thought actually the agenda what I have planned here is what we have planned. So we thought to cover this. What are the different tools for deploying Azure resources, and identity access and blueprints also. But due to lack of time, we didn't cover. We'll try to cover this in the next class. So, meanwhile, if you are having any questions, please ask.
Banu, the questionnaire part we can today as today we have lack of time.
Yes.
So the questionnaire part we can put it on end of the session. That would be more easier to cover all these topics, and we can note it down the questionnaire part, and one by one we can clear it out.
Yes, that is
I
a
think
better
that
idea.
will work. Yeah,
Correct. Yeah, we will
because
keep this.
lots of topic we are not covered today. So for that reason,
Okay.
those are all the important topics. Today also we have missed lot of topics, I think.
Yeah, correct. So this really plays an important role in the while you work on the project in the live scenario. The storage accounts and how we are accessing the blobs and everything. This will be very important. Because
Yep.
and data migration things also are the important terms, because many people will be working on premises, but how to move their data and how to install the data assistant and everything, that is a really good concepts. Okay, if you can go through these PPTs once again. If you are having any queries also, you can approach us directly also.
So where is this PPTs we are stored?
We have showed in the drive. Okay, I'll share the drive link and we will give the permission to all the members in the group, so you can access them.
Yep.
And as is discussed, we can take the questions at the end of the session. Then it will be save our time for the session.
Yep.
If you are having any questions, please post in the chat, or you can ask directly also.
Yeah, I missed to ask one thing. Like for the container, we have covered the container part, right? We are just um, uploading the data, like for the irrespective of format, like .txt or CSV, anything in the image .jpg files.
Yes,
We are uploading and we are just redirecting to the URL.
correct.
Right. So do we have a chance like we will get the data that is the UI part, right? If any UI
Yes, yes. It will
cut.
not be dependent upon the type of the document you are uploading. So suppose if I here it is a text file. So what happens is it has shown me directly. So if I upload a PDF file, if I browse this URL, it will automatically download. Okay. So then what developers will be doing is they will be downloading to a temporary machine and they will display it on the UI. So it is like how you write your development logic there.
Okay, the front end UI,
Yeah, the front end UI.
the URL of the front end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct. So how
Okay.
you are integrating your UI and the backend, so that depends upon how you are using your URL this one. And there will
Okay.
be many concepts like how you are storing that SAS tokens. So this will be more interesting when you go into the things. See, these are all the basics. If many
Yes.
freshers are lightly confusing, also no need to worry. So because these basics, when you are practicing practically, it will be very helpful.
Yeah. So you saw my project, right, Banu?
Yes, yes,
Like how it was. Like even I do have a question on that. So like as per your observation.
yes. So actually, there are many Azure services that you are interacting closely with, like APMs, function apps, and those things. So with your experience, it will be adding more value here. Actually,
Yeah, sure.
yeah. Okay, if you are having any questions, you can ask, or else I think we have crossed 22 minutes of your time. Okay, then I will take it as a no. So from tomorrow, we'll join on time. Thank you all. Have a good day.
Thank you, everyone.